Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Coffee and Collaboration. Your host, Kimberly Winborn, will show you the power of proactive networking. Grab your coffee and let's get started.
Hey, another episode of Coffee and Collaborations. And today I really want to talk about intention. I want to define it. I want to define it from the perspective of a networking scenario. And I want to define it from a lifestyle perspective as well. So I am Kimberly Winborn. I want to introduce myself once again for those of you who may be listening to the show for the first time. I am truly honored to have you, and I thank you for taking the time to stop and tune in. For those of you who listen every week, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your feedback, and thank you for sharing the show with others. And so, intentionality. So it's a philosophical concept defined as the power of minds to be about, to represent, or to stand for things, properties, and states of affair. The word intentionality also is the fact of being deliberate or purposive. So basically, to be deliberate about purpose, or to be deliberate or purposeful. So when you think about that, when you think about it from the perspective of life, living, what you do day to day, what you live, breathe, eat, be, are you intentional? Do you live your life with intention? Does your career reflect intentional moves? Does your business reflect intentionality? And so one of the concepts within the class that I created, Business Networking and Communication Skills, under Coffee and Collaborations, the brand, is a class that focuses on intentional networking. Now, why is it important to be intentional about your networking? Well, you can put yourself in a situation where you get no return of the investment of your time when you go out and network if you have no intention behind it. Now remember, we defined intentionality earlier. If you don't define what that networking experience that you are about to participate in is going to do for your next state of your business, the next goals that you have, the next moves that you want to make. Say you're planning out 2020, it's October almost, 2019, and you have a mission, vision, goals for your business lined with purpose, but no intention behind your actions. Does that balance out? And when you think about it, do you think you're going to get the results and the return on the investment of time if you don't have a plan? Now, I'm specifically speaking about networking, but that goes across the board. That goes across the board with life. With life when it comes to entrepreneurship, with life when it comes to family, friends. If you don't have a plan, then you're not going to get the return of investment on your networking. And one of the reasons why people stop networking is because they don't see the results from it that are possible. That is one of the reasons why I became adamant as a communications major, English with a concentration in news media communications, journalism, some PR. Communications has been a major portion of my life from every aspect of it. Grammar to how you actually present yourself from a body language perspective, verbally, written. I mean, just all the areas of communication that can or cannot be effective. And so when it comes to intentionality in your networking, You have to do the same thing with that you do with everything else. You have to have a schedule. You have to have a plan. You have to have a goal. So, for example, I need to build out my business. I've evaluated and discovered that the people that I'm targeting is not really the correct audience. And so I've determined that I've been targeting the wrong audience. I need to target this different audience, which means that I have to go into different spaces in order to access this particular audience. So, where is this audience? That's a part of the research. That's a part of my next steps, research. Where can I find this audience? Where are they? Where do they hang out? So I researched that. And then what's my next step? You can guess it. I make a plan that aligns with my calendar to be able to say, okay, I need to be in the room with these people. Where are they going to be that aligns with my calendar, or that I can adjust my calendar to align with that so that I can be in the room with them? And then you do this, especially if you're starting a new business, you do this weekly. You want to go and be in the room with those people weekly. Now, what you'll discover, because you're being intentional with your networking, is that when you get in that room, there's also some specific moves that you need to make in order to be successful in that room. So that 1 hour, say you go to an event that's 1 hour long, that 1 hour gives you a return that maximizes your results, so that you can get to the place that you want to get faster. So in that room, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. Maybe you've researched the founder, the person who put the networking event together, and found out a little bit about that person, so that when you get there, you can go and thank them. That's the first thing that you do. And then that person is probably going to be unless they're just super busy. Most people who are great at networking definitely appreciate when you come to them and thank them, and they usually want to introduce you to someone else. You know, they find out a little bit about you, and then they immediately are thinking, wow, I really like this person. They came up to me, they introduced themselves, they thanked me for having this event, which is a method of edification. We all want to be edified. And now they're a person who can speak on your behalf, in the sense of connecting you to potentially someone in your target market, and they become from completely cold to closer to a warm market, just because that person introduced them. So we got to go into these rooms with intention. So not only step one, we got to have intention about where we're going by doing the research to figure out where our target market is, so we can be in those rooms. And I always tell people, there are so many groups, networking groups, that do free events. So when people say, oh, it costs money, I got to pay $10 here, $10 there, $20 for this, $30 there, where my target market is going to be, that's not true. I know some of these social clubs that are top dollar social clubs that do free events weekly. So research it. You got to research. You got to figure out where they're going to be. So that's step one. Step two, show up with intention. Show up having done some research on the person who is putting that networking event together. Make sure to reach out to them. Say something kind about the fact that it's an absolute blessing, or whatever that is. I always use the word blessing, but maybe in another setting you could just say it is a pleasure and an honor to be in the room with that person. You appreciate them for putting that event together. Maybe something just that simple. It doesn't have to be overthought, and that person will potentially connect you with others. So you want to maximize the opportunities by edifying, by being prepared. Make sure you have your business cards. But another thing that I said, this is all around intentionality. This is all around networking. If you are in transition or in a space where you just run out of cards or what have you, download an app where you can put your card digitally on your phone to be able to share it with someone. And don't make an excuse. Give it to them with confidence. If you don't have a paper card, then somebody asks you for your business card, you just with confidence say, oh yeah, I always have a business card as long as I have my phone. Let me pull that up and I'll send it to you. Would you prefer that I email it, or would you prefer that I text it? And then get their information. Do it with confidence. I've seen so many people say that they don't have a card, but I have my e-card, as if, well, I don't have my card, I'm not prepared, but I have this e-card. E-cards are preparation. We also have LinkedIn, where you can use that as an option to share your information. There is no reason why you can't show up with posture, which is how you have to walk into these networking spaces, with posture, because your tribe is attracted to confidence. All of our tribes are. So you got to have intentionality. So that was step 2 and 3. So step 3, to be clear, is to be sure that you are prepared when you get into those rooms. Remember, step 2 was do the research on these networking opportunities. And back to step 1, have intentionality. Make sure that you are calendarizing and showing up for the networking events where you're going to get the biggest return on your investment. And that's what I'm going to cover today. Those 3 steps to intentional networking. There is so much power in networking, and we are leaving all of that power on the table just because we have limitations based on education as to how to do it our best and how to do it well. And let's show up. Let's make a declaration to show up better in our businesses, for our community, whatever your why is as to why you started the business. It could be to serve a bigger vision than you even imagine. But there's so many steps leading to that you got to get right. And they're easy. They're easy. Once you get it, it's easy and you can soar. So then you have the intentional networking. You have an intentional lifestyle. You have an intentional calendar, intentional maneuvers, intentionality to everything you do. Then do you think that your health, your wellness, all of these other things do not play a part in being intentional about your networking? I challenge you to think again, because if you show up to these events and you've just eaten the most humongous, unhealthiest meal of your life, do you think you're going to be able to maximize on the energy and capacity? No, your body is going to tell you sooner than you really want that you're tired, that you got to go, that you spent enough time here. And it could be that you don't even make it, even though it's on your calendar, because you haven't been intentional about your lifestyle, about what you've eaten that day, about getting enough rest. You know how the teacher says for the students to go to bed early the night before a big test, you know, those end of the year tests, and then wake up and make sure that you have a great breakfast so you can have that fuel to be ready for that test? Do you think that's not important in everyday life, especially to get the results that we want? Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I think of networking like a science. If you haven't been following the show, then you're getting it today. It is an art and a science that once you really get it and get the power of it, it can change your life. And it can change the lives of those around you, because it'll change your business. It can change communities. It can change so much because of the potential that lies within it. So I want you to think about that this week. Think about that this week. Thinking about, and I have another concept called Intentional Connections. That's the company, a branch of my company that I launched back in August, on my birthday actually, August the 9th. And it has been amazing because the focus is to help people for my company, which I have been a resource hub. We've been able to be a resource hub for about 5 years now as a result of intentional networking. I have a lot of resources. And so I have been able to develop a arm of my company where I connect people to intentional resources. So it's called Intentional Connections. It's also PR and marketing. So I've been able to take the concept of intentionality through networking to create intentional connections. And trust me, it's been amazing. I'll tell you guys, it has been amazing. So you can take what I said and use it. You can not. You can choose one way or the other. But it was my goal to hopefully be able to help at least one person to do something different that may change the trajectory of your business. And my goodness, maybe even your life. So thank you for listening. Like I always say, be a light. When you think about another thing that I say, grab your coffee. Don't think about it in the literal sense, grab your coffee. Think about that figuratively. If you grab a cup of coffee and you're able to sit across the table from someone else to make a connection that can grow your bigger vision, their bigger vision, then it's life-changing. So go out there, be a light, grab your coffee. Check us out at www.coffeeandcollaborations.com. You can go straight to the podcast by putting in coffeeandcollaborations.com/podcast. But you can find out all about Coffee and Collaborations on the website. And please feel free to email us with your comments, questions. You want to connect with us for some event you have coming up. You want us to write about you. You want to find out how you can be on the show. We're finally getting our systems together to be able to respond and do those things, to be able to help even more entrepreneurs to get a voice and to get their message out. So info@coffeeandcollaborations.com is our email address. Please feel free to reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to Coffee and Collaboration, the number one networking skill building show for people who want to take their skills to the next level. Please join us each Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. Central.